So we have got this hormonal control of spermatogenesis. If you take, so there are important hormones which are controlling the process of this gametogenesis in the case of male. What do you call those gametogenesis in the male? What is gametogenesis in male? What is the name given for that?
Spermatogenesis.
Very nice. That is spermatogenesis. So in this there are pituitary hormones which are going to play important role here. These pituitary hormones are nothing but, so two pituitary hormones are there. One is luteinizing hormone and the second one is follicle stimulating hormone, that is FSH. They play very vital role in the process of the hormonal control. Then secondly, so then what is the another hormone which is playing important role, which is secreted by the testes only? Other part?
Sir, board is not clear, sir.
Can't say? 1 minute. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, it is by testis then. By testis, what is the hormone which is produced here in the male, which play a very important role during this spermatogenesis? Which hormone is secreted in the testis of the male? Just now you told, just before this. Testosterone. This testosterone is an androgen. This is an androgen. So let us see how these pituitary hormones and also testosterone are going to play important role in the process of controlling this spermatogenesis process. In this, you can have a look at this. Yeah, now I think you can see here, this is hormonal control, wherein in this you can find here, what is this structure called? Adida. This one is hypothalamus. And here you can see the pituitary, anterior and also posterior pituitary. And from this anterior pituitary, we can see LH, that is luteinizing hormone, and FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. Which are they? Luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. And also, what is the role of this LH and also FSH here? ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ? These LH are going to act on the Leydig cells. What are these Leydig cells? What are these Leydig cells? Where are they present?
Interstitial cells.
Very good. They are called interstitial cells, which are present in the interstitial space between the seminiferous tubules. And these Leydig cells are able to secrete testosterone because of luteinizing hormone which act upon these Leydig cells. This is important here. So, this anterior pituitary acts on Leydig cells, in the sense the luteinizing hormone from the anterior pituitary acts on Leydig cells to secrete testosterone. And this follicle stimulating hormone is there, this follicle stimulating hormone acts upon the cells in the testes, in the seminiferous tubules, for initiating the process of spermatogenesis. And this testosterone and also follicle stimulating hormone are together responsible for the process of spermatogenesis, where you can see the primary spermatocytes which are there, which are going to undergo the mitosis. Then they form spermatogonia. They undergo mitosis to form primary spermatocyte, and these primary spermatocyte undergo second meiotic division to form spermatids, and these spermatids, being bigger in size, they cannot move. That's why they are non-motile. They are going to form or transform into spermatozoa, which are motile structure here. So like this, your entire process of spermatogenesis is controlled by luteinizing hormone and also follicle stimulating hormone, which are together called gonadotropins. What is that called? What is the name given for that? Gonadotropins. And this luteinizing hormone act upon the Leydig cells, which get stimulated because of luteinizing hormone, and these Leydig cells are going to secrete the androgens, that is the testosterone. And this FSH is going to act upon the cells in the testis, that is especially the Sertoli cells, and they are responsible for secretion of certain factors in the seminiferous tubule, which are going to provide the nourishment. And this testosterone acts upon the spermatogonia, and these spermatogonia undergo spermatogenesis. So this is how the hormones are going to be regulating the process of spermatogenesis. Any question here? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, Barkondraida, did you write this one? You have to take down this. Pituitary gland, FSH and also LH. Shall I give you the flow chart otherwise? Shall I write? Ma'am Barilendro?
Sir.
Yes, not saying yes or no. Huh? You're not telling anything. So you see now, I will just give you the flow chart. Here we have pituitary gland. You can see this, Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be responsible for secretion of gonadotropins. Do you know why they are called gonadotropins? Why are they called gonadotropins?
Help.
And these gonadotropins, that is, one is LH. So these gonadotropins, we have one is LH and another one is FSH. Since they are acting upon the gonads, so in the last class somebody was asking what are gonads? What are gonads?
Sex organs, sir.
Very nice. So the sex organs in the male or females are called gonads. Male sex organs are called the male gonads, and female sex organs are called female gonads. Since they are acting upon the gonads, they are called gonadotropins. And this luteinizing hormone acts upon this luteinizing hormone acts upon Leydig cells. So very simple mechanism you can see here. This you can remember very easily if you are having this flow chart. That's why whenever you are studying, you should try to have the flow charts as much as possible. They make the things very easy for you to remember. You see, they act upon luteinizing hormones secreted by the pituitary is going to act upon the Leydig cells. What is that which is secreted by Leydig cells? ಏನು secrete ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ? Testosterone, which is nothing but androgen. Androgen is secreted by these Leydig cells. Then this follicle stimulating hormone acts upon Sertoli cells. And these Sertoli cells are going to secrete the factors. They secrete factors which nourish ಯಾವುದನ್ನು nourish ಮಾಡೋದು spermatids. They are going to provide the nourishment to the spermatids. Those factors are secreted by the Sertoli cells. What about this testosterone? What is the role of testosterone here? ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? This is the one which acts upon the spermatogonia to initiate the process of spermatogenesis. So this testosterone acts on the spermatogonia. You can see this bird, acts on spermatogonia for spermatogenesis. Whatever the steps of spermatogenesis which are happening are because of whatever the divisions, meiotic and also mitotic divisions which are happening is because of this testosterone. So like this you can see the hormonal control. This is the flow chart. Any doubt is there in this? This is the flow chart of hormonal control of the gametogenesis, that is spermatogenesis. Any doubt? Then we have so like this, during this spermatogenesis the sperms are produced, and also apart from that here the some secretions will be there. We will come to that later. Then this what about the structure of sperm? So let us see structure of sperm. The sperms at a time, about 200 to 250 millions of sperms are going to be present in the semen. And what about the structure? This is the motile structure. They are able to move in this case. And this sperm is having three regions here. There are three regions present in the sperm, which are there. The largest region, which we call it as head region. Then comes the second region.
Middle part.
Pardon me?
Middle part.
So, middle part, of course, there is one small region, which we call it as neck. Then middle piece or middle part, as I rightly told, middle piece, and also tail. Okay, you have to draw the diagram of sperm, which is there in the textbook. Is it possible for you to draw the diagram?
Yes, sir.
If you want, I can draw that. That's not a big thing, but it will take more time. I will just show you the diagram and I will try to explain this. So this is the semen in which the sperm is present. So this is the structure of sperm. You can see this is head region. This is the head region, followed by that very small part which connects with this midpiece and also the head region, which we call it as neck. That is neck. Then this is midpiece and also tail. And much of its cytoplasm is concentrated in the head region. That is the largest part, you can see. And in the head region, you can see almost entire head region that, how many cells are present in the sperm? How many cells?
Millions.
Pardon me?
Millions of.
Yes?
Millions of.
Millions in the semen. I am speaking about the sperm. How many cells are present in sperm? Is it an unicellular structure or multicellular structure?
Unicellular.
If you look at the structure, how does it look?
Unicellular.
So one thing you should remember, that's good. Sperm is an unicellular structure. Don't be under the impression that since head is there, midpiece is there, tail is there, so many cells are present. It is only one cell. That we should always remember. The gamete is having only one cell. Okay. So single cell is present. And this single cell constitutes the sperm. And in this you can find much of it is constituted by the head, which is occupied by nucleus. What is there in the nucleus? What is there in the nucleus? ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ?
DNA, sir.
Pardon me? DNA, very good. So this nucleus contains the DNA, that is the genetic material. It is the genetic material. Then you can see in the tip of the head, which is just like a protruding one, sharp one, so which is going to help in the process of movement. Since the tapering end is there, tapering head is there, it is able to move easily. And you can see some structure called acrosome. What is this structure? Acrosome. This acrosome in the head contains some enzymes. It is containing some enzymes which can digest the wall of the ovum. It can digest the wall. We will be speaking about what is that wall and all. So there is some protective layer is there around the ovum. So that can be digested by the enzymes present in acrosome. That you should write, very important. So what are present in acrosome?
Enzymes.
Enzymes. What for? What for? So that the sperm can penetrate into the ovum, thereby helping in the process of fertilization. Because of this only, the nucleus from the sperm can get into the ovum. So that is a very important role played by acrosome, which helps in the fertilization. That is, the nucleus can enter into the ovum because of the digestion of the wall around this ovum. Okay, there's a thing. Then it is nucleus, which is having genetic material, as you rightly told. And you can find the middle piece, neck, of course, the one which is connecting this head and also mid piece or middle piece. And this mid piece is the one which is having mitochondria. What is there here?
Mitochondria.
So what is the role of mitochondria? What for they need so much amount of mitochondria?
Helps to transport energy.
Energy.
For motility, what is required?
Energy.
Very good, energy. So which part of the cell is producing energy?
Mitochondria.
It is mitochondria. So that's why it is able to produce enough amount of energy required for motility of the sperm. Sperms move ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ಎನರ್ಜಿನ ಈ ಮೈಟೋಕಾಂಡ್ರಿಯಾ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. Okay, that is the role. That's why you see there are only three important or prominent regions. One is acrosome, containing the enzymes which are responsible for helping the sperm to penetrate into the ovum. by digesting the wall around this ovum. The nucleus is the genetic material, that is DNA. Then we have mitochondria, which play a very vital role in providing energy for the motility. And for this motility or movement of the sperm, here it is very narrow, long tile structure which is present here. This tile is also going to help in the process of movement here. So that's why, because of mitochondria in the midpiece and also the tile, the sperm is able to move. It is motile. So this is about the structure of sperm. And in this, as I told you, around 200 to 250 or 300 million sperms are going to be present during one ejaculation. One ejaculation in the sense the semen is going to be ejaculated out of the male reproductive system, and this contains around 200 to 300 million sperms. So the semen can be around 2 to 3 ml depending on the person, and this within this 2 to 3 ml, so about 200 to 300 million sperms are going to be present in the semen. And apart from that, then what happens here? Here in this semen, even though around 200 to 300 million sperms are present, about 40% of the sperms are not so healthy. They won't show much movement. In a sense, they are not going to be much useful. They are going to die by the time they reach the region where the fertilization happens, that is the fallopian tube. But around 60% of the sperms have to be healthy if the fertilization has to take place. That means around out of 200 million sperms, 60% means how much? Estate by count. About 120 million sperms should be healthy for the fertilization to happen. So this is about the structure of sperm. And here this sperm, once it is released from the seminiferous tubule, we have the ducts which are present there. So here, what exactly happens here, I will just continue in this. Here, the secretions there are secretions. Secretions from accessory ducts are there. Which are the accessory ducts? Yeah, the accessory ducts are there.
Vas differential, vas difference, epididymis,
rete testis, vas differentia, and also vas difference. And when we studied about the male reproductive system, we have seen that in the vas difference, when it goes like this, in the abdominal cavity, this vas difference is surrounded by a gland. What is this gland called? This is called seminal vesicle. What is this called? Seminal vesicle. This seminally secretions from accessory ducts and seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicles. You know, seminal vesicles are nothing but the accessory glands. Accessory ducts are there, seminal vesicles are there, then prostate gland, that is another thing, prostate gland. Prostate gland. So, all these secretions together form the fluid substance which is they formed here, and that fluid substance is called seminal plasma. What is this called? Seminal plasma. So, secretions from accessory ducts like rete testis, epididymis, or maybe vas deferens, vas efferentia, seminal vesicles, and also prostate gland. How many prostate glands are present here in the male? How many are there? Only one prostate gland is present here. That constitutes seminal plasma. This seminal plasma contains nutrients. Nutrients required for the semen to survive. So the semen can survive because of the seminal plasma, which contains the nutrients in that. Then added to that, we are having, apart from that, they also have some fructose which is there, and they are all going to provide the nutrients in this case, nutrients for this, for the sperms. Then what is the semen then? What is the semen? These sperms plus seminal plasma. Sperms and also seminal plasma together is called semen. Together called semen. So in the testis it is mainly the sperms which are going to be formed, and some of the secretions will be there in the accessory ducts, no doubt, but the seminal plasma is mainly produced by the seminal vesicles and also prostate gland, which have the nutrients and also the medium, the fluid medium which is required for the motility of the sperms. So like this, the semen is nothing but the sperms and also seminal plasma. So this is about the structure of sperm and also semen. Any doubt in this? Any doubt?
No.
Then let us move on to the next thing then. So, let us see the gametogenesis in female is called, what is it called? What is this called? Genesis. What is this called? Oogenesis. Oogenesis is nothing but gametogenesis in female. Gametogenesis in female is called oogenesis. So this gametogenesis in female is ultimately resulting in producing, it is to produce, what is that? Introduce like that. Ovum or egg. Ovum or egg. And in this is bit different from the spermatogenesis. Lot of difference you will find. And before going into the actual process, let us see the structure of the ovary which is involved in the female gametogenesis. So in this, so this is the structure of ovary. You are able to see this diagram? Can you see this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this diagram is very important. from the point of examination also. It is there even in practicals. Practicals ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. That's why it is very important. You should draw this diagram, figure 3.7 and figure 3.6. So did you draw the diagram of 3.5? Huh?
Yes, sir.
So then 3.6, that is the structure of sperm. You please draw that. Please draw that. Many times they have asked it in the examinations also. And this TS of ovary is also important for both practical. Normally, either TS of ovary or TS of testis. Any one will be there in the examination as a slide, practical examination. And you need to comment upon the structure in that. Then secondly, here they have been asking about the anatomy of ovary, that is the transverse section of ovary. And in this, you know, how many ovaries are present in the female?
2.
2 are there. Okay. So this ovary is having, you can see the structure of this ovary. Here you can find the outermost layer which is present in this case here, which we call it as of course protected by many tissues, that is called tunica albuginea. And we have two regions in the ovary. One is called cortex region, this is the outer region, and the middle region or the inner region is called medulla. What is that inner region called? Medulla. So there are two regions, one is called cortex and another one is medulla. Medulla is in the center and cortex is the outer region. And much of the activities which are taking place are in cortex region. And here, medulla, MEDULLA, illide nodi, medulla, barkoli, medulla. Then cortex, you can see the cortex, line hakide nodi. The outermost region is called cortex, and inner, or you can also say the middle region is called medulla. And here we have the gamete mother cells, and these gamete mother cells in the case of female are called oogonia. What are they called? Oogonia. These oogonia are formed in the ovary of the female during the embryonic growth only. So as many as oogonia required by the female are going to be produced during the fetal life, that is the embryonic development. When you are there in the mother's womb, the oogonia are formed within this ovary. And these oogonia which are formed start undergoing the mitotic division, and then after the completion to form the maximum number, they start undergoing meiosis 1. And in this, so the prophase 1 phase, you know, prophase 1 is the very long phase of meiotic division, and the process get stopped there. That means they are going to be temporarily arrested. The process of cell division, that is the meiosis 1, gets arrested temporarily at that particular stage in the embryo itself. This particular process starts in embryo, that we should remember. And this forms the cells called primary oocytes. What are they called? Primary oocytes. You can see this one, oocyte. These cells are called primary oocytes. And These primary oocytes, you can see here. Are you able to see this one? ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. These primary oocytes are surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells. Layer of granulosa cells, and when they are surrounded by granulosa cells, that happens normally after the puberty. That happens after the puberty. So here these primary follicles will undergo they complete the first meiotic division. They complete the first meiotic division to form the secondary follicle. ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ? They form the secondary follicle where two or more layers of cells are going to be there. Granulosa cells are going to be present here. And that results in the formation of secondary follicle. What is that called? What is that? The primary follicles result in secondary follicles. And this secondary follicle again will undergo some changes. Multiplication of the cells will be taking place around the oocyte here. And these cells undergo the multiplication and they form the theca, that is the protective layers will be formed here, and they undergo the changes to form the tertiary follicle with a cavity called antrum. What is this cavity called? ಏನಂತೀವಿ ಕ್ಯಾವಿಟಿನ? What is this called? Antrum. Okay, antrum cavity is there. You can see the oocyte and many layers of cells, and here the cavity is there. And you can see, I was telling you, some walls are going to be present around the egg. You can see some zona pellucida, there is one protective layer which is going to be present in the ovum. All these formations, transformations take place during the gametogenesis itself. And these granulosa cells will further undergo multiplication to form many layers, and this we call it as, ultimately this is called tertiary follicle. What is this called? Tertiary follicle, which is also called Graafian follicle. So like this, bigger antrum is there and many cells which are present around the oocyte, the developing oocyte. Oocyte is also developing in this case here. And like this, granulosa cells are supporting the development or growth of the oocyte. And once the complete development take place here, and so here, one thing we should remember here, when first meiotic division takes place here, when the primary oocyte undergoes the first meiotic division, development will take place, and then the secondary oocyte follicle it is going to become, and this oocyte which is there is going to undergo, once the complete development of the Graafian follicle take place, this oocyte undergoes, or you can say completes first meiotic division, which started when the female was there in the embryo of her mother. You see the duration. So only one oogonium is going to undergo the process, the complete changes in this case, where the primary follicle and secondary follicle and also tertiary follicle happens here. Once it is there in the tertiary follicle, this oocyte undergoes, or it completes the first meiotic division, resulting in 2 cells. How many cells are going to be formed? ಎಷ್ಟು cells ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? How many cells?
2 cells.
2 cells. One cell is called the ovum, and another one is called first polar body. That is called first polar body. 1 minute. So first polar body, and so once the Once it gets over, it is going to be released. You can see here, this gets released here. The Graafian follicle is going to get ruptured and also the ovum is going to be released out of the ovary. So like this, the oogenesis is going to take place and the process of release of ovum from the Graafian follicle is called ovulation. And you should understand that only meiosis 1 has taken place here. We'll see. Next class I will draw the flow chart of whatever the changes which have happened here. I am sure that you have not understood it completely, and so we'll draw the flow chart of this and then we'll understand the process here.